What is up, everybody? Okay, so we're going to be talking a little bit here about low ticket strategies versus high ticket strategies and why Sophie and I, working with a lot of different clients, when they come into our world, they feel like they're in overwhelm and that they're trying to do all the things. And I don't know, Sophie, I want to set some people free today. I don't know about you.
Let's go.
So that's really what we wanted to open it up for today. So thank you all for joining. Let us know in the chat like where you're coming in from if you're watching this live. But the idea here is to demystify some of maybe what's going on, some of the things that are on your plate, and maybe like we can actually help you take some of that stuff off. So I'll leave it like this, and then Sophie, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And that is when I remember, I remember where I was. I was driving, and I remember right where I was on the road when I heard you say something along the lines of perhaps you're using a low ticket strategy and trying to attract high ticket clients. And that's why there's a disconnect. And I was like, oh my God. And so that changed everything for me. So I'd love
Mhm.
to hear like what you think. First, let's talk about this. Like, why do people fall into this trap?
Mhm. Yeah.
I have my theories, but I'd love to hear yours.
Yeah. Yeah, this is something that, I see all the time. And, when you came into my world, I saw that immediately. I was like, I see what's going on here.
Yeah.
And it's not uncommon, and I think the main reason why is because it's what you see, right? What you see online is you see people scaling. And so there's the three stages of business, if you will, online. You've got the building stage, the growth stage, and then the scaling stage. Well, what most people mimic is the scaling stage, but they don't have the building blocks in place to and or the skill sets to be able to do that at that point, right? So what happens is they start copying what they're seeing, because the only other way to get access to this information for the most part is if you buy into 30, 40, 50, $60,000 plus programs, right? Because the $97 programs, the $47 programs, even the $2, $3, $4,000 programs aren't going to show you that stuff. They're not going to show you those different phases. And so therefore people kind of makeshift, and they'll go and buy this. I remember you saying you bought the Reels course. They'll buy the Reels course on how to generate thousands of leads. Okay, great. But do you have the other pieces to support that, right? Probably not. And so what happens is people create these, these mismatched low ticket systems, hoping to attract high ticket clients. And it's not that it can't work, right? Low ticket to high ticket is absolutely a thing, but those are scaling activities. Those are things for people who have already built their business. They were in the growing stage and now they're scaling it. So I think this is the biggest reason why it happens, but nobody's out there teaching what does it actually look like to grow the business, or rather build the business and then grow the business before you scale the business. And for some people, they just want to grow a low ticket business, and they want to have maybe it's one of these sort of low ticket digital asset business. You can totally do that, right? If that's the goal. But again, that's a totally different strategy than what you're going to be doing building out a high ticket business or a low to high ticket business. And I think a lot of people, look at, oh, well, I'm just going to build out this low ticket business and hope the high ticket clients are going to come through. Or I'm going to build this low ticket business without an audience. And then all of a sudden I'm living off a couple $100 a month going, well, this isn't working. Versus there's so many easier ways to do it. And I think the other thing too is again, it's the skill sets, right? Like building, I argue, I'm biased here. I've done both and have both, but arguably I think it is much harder to build out a low ticket business than a high ticket, because you need so many more skill sets, right? You need to have all of the pieces in line. You got to have the tech pieces. You got to have the lead magnet pieces. You got to have the audience cultivation pieces. You got to have the lead generation, like this stacking on top of each other. High ticket, you need to know how to talk to people and how to sell high ticket. That's it. You're good.
Yes.
Done.
Yes. It's so true. And I do believe that so much of what you said is the case, right? Because by the time somebody becomes pretty visible, then if you're going to model that, that's a scaling activity at that point,
Mm-hmm.
right? And, if you're doing master classes and challenges, then, you have a bigger presence online, chances are you've already been through more of the first 100K stuff that you need to do in your business to get to that point. And what I feel like is, a little bit misleading is a lot of coaches will not hesitate to sell you that. But they fail to mention that there's certain building blocks in place. I will tell you, just like recently, I hacked a funnel that, was a book funnel. And I was like, well, let me just see what's going on the inside of this. And, they're just like, use AI, build your book. Build your book, create your book. And then you can, charge million, and they don't, like, they fail to mention, like, but you kind of really have to know who your ideal client is and who you're exactly talking to. And you have to understand their languaging, and PS, you have to learn to sell. Like all of that is conveniently left out, and they pay. And this is, I plan to do this part. I'm sure you do too. Like, that is a phase in building a business, just, we'll send you the book, just send us, pay for the shipping. But it's the operative word for anybody that's listening to this right now is sequence. And doing it in a sequence, in a way that's going to get you to your, six-figure, multi-six-figure business the fastest. And then, to your point, like, now I'll have people sending me like, oh, you need to do this, that, and the other with reels. And I'm like, send it to my team. You know what I mean? Because I'm not in the business of being like a viral reel producer. That's not what I do, even though I spent a whole year. So ask me how I know about what we're talking about. Is I did it all backwards, right? I got the logo and the brand colors first, and all the pictures, and then the website, and then I decided, I got to go viral, right? And I was like, and it's just because all of that stuff is so loud and flashy, but it's those fundamental pieces that need to be in place first to make any of it work, whether it is low ticket or high ticket. And I just think that that stuff just gets skipped, and then people buy in. Well, maybe it's because I need a rockin' Facebook group, or maybe it's because I need, to learn how to do challenges better, or maybe I need to do a summit, or maybe I need to build my email list, or maybe it's because I don't have a lead magnet. And it's like, all of that stuff is scaling, but it's not.
I think so many of us make that mistake too. I made all these mistakes too, right?
Yeah.
I tried the high, the low, and the high, and you go back and forth until you land. And and again, I think it's because it's not necessarily taught, but just a note on funnel hacking too. I used to do that as well until I realized that unless you know the intent behind the funnel, the chances of actually being able to hack that funnel are very difficult. Like, so many, especially in the scaling areas, like so many of those high level coaches, they're running just tests on funnels. So half of those you don't even know what they're for, or where they lead and how they all funnel together. And I know myself, like, if you try and hack my funnel, good luck, because I've got so many funnels that run into each other at this point. Like, it's kind of like a little adventure park inside of there, right? But I think that I think the biggest thing, and I know that you've witnessed this, especially when we've done masterclasses together in the past, but the amount of relief that people feel when they're in those phases of building all those things and realizing they don't have to do it. And then it's just like, wait, what? You mean to say I can build a lucrative business without having to do all of that, without having to build trust through this low ticket funnel? And I think I love low ticket. I really do. It's a soft spot. Even though I have high ticket, I also have low ticket. I really love it. But if I was to build my business all over again, I wouldn't build it the same way, because I, like many people, got stuck in that trying to do all the things. I got lost in Canva and trying to learn this skill and learn that skill. And none of those were income producing activities. None of them. And so I got sort of stuck in this place where it was like, wait, hold up. And I was saying this to you the other day, like, half this things I don't even have time for anymore.
No, I don't go in, and I like Canva, but I don't go in there at all anymore. And yeah, I spent so much time in there so much energy, like trying to make reels work. And I didn't realize that that was not an income producing activity. And I know that may come as a surprise to a lot of people, but creating content is a passive income producing activity more than an active one. And if you don't fully understand the intent, to your point, even with the funnels, but any of it, like just putting it out there, if you're not leading anybody anywhere, is not it. It's like all those people that go viral and then the buck stops there. Like there's nowhere else to take. And so that's why, even though Canva and content and going viral, all that's super sexy, I work with a lot of people, influencers and people that have rather large followings that aren't able to make any money because followers, I know we hear this, and I remember hearing that, and I was like, I don't, even as a sales coach and having all the sales experience, I still didn't fully understand until I started to realize the same principles. And you were somebody that really helped me realize some of that too. Like the same principles that made you successful in your sales career also apply here. So in other words, it's not about going viral. It's not about more quantity. It's about quality and what you do with them. And I think that that's what people love so much about, what we did in the master classes last year. And you heard it here first. We're going to be doing a challenge where we really walk you guys through this most, what I like to call it, basic human sales funnel.
Yes. Yeah.
And how much simpler it can be, because the reason I believe that people are sitting in overwhelm and not, thinking things like, why am I not further along, is because scattered energy gets scattered results. And if you're in Canva and trying to be a copywriting ninja and setting up landing pages and having your hands in all these different cookie jars that aren't your zone of genius, then yeah, I mean, it's really hard to execute. We just, the jack of all trades thing, and what has become way more evident, whether it's with myself, my business, and my clients, is if we can just master those few basic things like you talked about, then we can start that consistent high ticket client flow. And I'll also say it feels so good when you really know what you need to do each day to move the needle.
Yeah.
And it's not about being busy.
It's a system. I think that was the thing. And, I remember from my own journey, they got a point, even, when I was signing clients, people were coming through, and it felt like it was out of my control, right? Even though I was posting the content, I was doing all things, it felt out of my control because it felt like they were just kind of luck. It was like sort of randomly popping through. Oh, there's this person here. Okay, cool. When's the next one coming through? And what was missing, because it was the thing nobody showed me or taught me how to do, was the actual system behind it. What did the sales system look like so that you could actually have something that felt within your control, it felt consistent, which you knew you could go out and get, bring in clients whenever you wanted to. And that was the part I think a lot of people I know it's missing for a lot of people. Which is why I'm so excited for our masterclass. We're going to be sharing what that is. But this is the piece that's missing for a lot of people, right? So they're going out, they're posting the content, or they're, the clients are coming through referrals, and they feel so out of control of their own marketing and their own sales process because they're not talking to each other. And so I think, and this is the piece that people pay thousands of dollars for, and sometimes they still don't get given it, or they're still not understanding it. And it's like, well, this didn't really show me what I needed. You just showed me how to create more content, or show more of this or more of that. So, I think that these are where all the pieces get to line up. And I think this is another reason why, so many people create these things, and they're seeing, oh, well, if I just create content and I just go to a low ticket lead magnet and just do this, then it just naturally people will come through. But again, on top of that system, right, do you actually understand the psychology of the sales behind it? And I think people, when they're seeing content and marketing, especially, they're not seeing it as part of the sales process, because I think it's, you think of it like a journey, right? It's like a store. Somebody is literally coming through your content, walking past your shop windows into your sales funnels. And if those aren't all connected, you're losing a lot of people. And I think there's another misconception, like going back to what you were just saying a minute ago, Jana, is that more followers, more, more views gets more sales. And it can if your sales system is behind the scenes and it's working. If it's not, forget it, right? I made this mistake. I've told this story before, but I lost 10 million leads. Let that sink in for a minute. 10 million people saw my content before I made a single sale. Like, how is that even possible? Right? I'll tell you how it's possible. I didn't have a sales system. But when we realize that actually every single person that hearts your content, or person that speaks to you or comes into your world, is a real human that has been attracted to you and your content for a reason. Are you actually seeing the people behind that? And for most people, the answer is no, because it's become a numbers game, right? It's like, oh, but I don't have 10,000 followers and I need 10,000 to make a sale. BS. You need one person following you to make a sale. A little easier,
Right.
10 or 20, but.
Well, and I think that's, something that I've said often is the rise of this social media online business coincided with the rise of the influencer. And so we got our wires crossed. It was like more people equals more sales. And I did it. Like I said, I was in sales for over 20 years. And I came in, I'm like, okay, how do I go viral? Like, how do I make this whole thing work? How do I get all these leads? And where the truth is, like, until you understand, like, where you're taking them and you're clear about how to talk to them, it doesn't matter, just like you were saying. And so what people then do is they'll just jump from one shiny object to the other, trying to find this magic bullet when, if we all are just completely honest for a second, like, it's always in the simplicity of things. It's always in the less complex. I think I told you this story, but I'll tell everybody here because, it really hit, it's on stage in Utah over the weekend. And, just talking about the simplicity piece. And back when we were having like the space race, between the US and Russia, right? There was an issue with the pins. Like, they would get into space and their pins wouldn't write. And it was a problem. And so here goes the US, like, let's hire a task force and a team. And they're spending like millions of dollars trying to figure out this new space pen, right? Talk about going around their elbow, because Russia just used a pencil.
Yes. The first thing I said was, like, we have to use a pencil. Well, the Russians did.
And so, if you think about it, I can count so many times in my life, whether it's personally or professionally, where I'm like, wow, I made that a lot more difficult than it had to be. And it's not your fault, because you are inundated daily with the book funnel is the secret, or, it's reels that are the secret, or, so long as you just have a summit, it's the secret. And it's like the podcast is the secret. And it's the secret is in your ability to cultivate a couple of skill sets. And then guess what? You can execute whatever strategy you want on top of it. And that is the piece that we're really going to dive into on this challenge, you guys.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the biggest things too is that, we see this over and over and over, especially in the coaching industry, is people just copying each other. So it's like they buy into a program, copy the program, buy into the program, copy the program, without fully understanding, well, actually, how does sales work? How does messaging work? How does marketing work? How do these pieces actually work? And so they're kind of cut and pasting and copying, and then they're regurgitating this information. I think that's what's really cool about what we're doing, is we're actually going to show you how it works.
Yes, like the big picture. Because you're a forest person, I'm a tree person. Like, I get up in the weeds, you guys too. I'm like trying, and I had to really like take that bird's eye view and go, okay, what is really happening here? Because it isn't just about being consistent and adding value. I think that's the biggest misconception that I see with my clients. And it was certainly mine coming in. It was like, so long as I post every day and show everybody how brilliant I am and inspire them with nice, pretty quotes, they'll buy. So I know, being an expert in sales, that if that was my philosophy based on what I was hearing in the market, then I am certain that there are others that are maybe still even operating from that vantage point. And like I still got clients because how referral, like all the different ways. But what we want to offer each and every one of you listening is something that's more systematic, something that's more predictable, so that you know what you're doing each day to move the needle. And so, there's so much power in, like, let's say something happens and you have a big bill or something unexpected. It's like, fine, I'll just create an offer and I'll go and I'll sell it. And it's like, that's the magic. And it doesn't need to be, first I have to build a bazillion people email list, or I need a gazillion followers. Like, the freedom in knowing these few different things and just going, cool, I'll launch this, and not feeling like there's so much tech. And so, because that's where people get caught up. And then they don't do it at all because they're just in the freaking weeds. Ask me how I know. Hard breath.
Or you're a big picture person and then you get super overwhelmed because the picture's too big and you can't figure out how to line the trees up.
Right.
But yeah, no, that's exactly it, right? Like, I think this is about simplicity. This is about, removing all of the excess stuff that you just don't need at the stage of business where you are probably not in the building phase, but the growing phase, right? You're at that ready to scale, ready to break through phase, but doing it all low ticket, right? It's like wanting to do it high ticket, probably selling your packages, getting your clients great results. But at that stage, we're going, you know what? I know that this is now worth so much more, but where do I find those clients? How do I create that offer? How do I actually create a system that is going to generate those type of leads who are going to buy into those higher ticket? And just for clarification, Janice, we've had this conversation a lot, and this is something that comes up. I think every masterclass we've always run, someone said, well, what does high ticket mean? Like, what is high ticket? So, for the context of this, we're talking high ticket is going to be probably $10,000 plus.
And when we say that, like, how does that feel for you? Like, I know for a lot of my clients at first, it's like, oh my gosh, well, what about all the little guys? Like, we're just going to like screw them, but that's not it. And we'll talk about this more in the challenge, but the bottom line is you've got to put your oxygen mask on first. I have a lot of people that come into my program who are hustling their butt off in low ticket. And it's a lot of work. And really, like, learning how to step into, that more go pro CEO level and own their genius zone and feel that absolutely there are people, because the truth is there's always going to be people that can afford it at that level. And there's always going to be people that can't. So, but if we can cater to that first, and then you have the breathing room. I mean, the very first thing I did when I started to really execute at that higher level was like, who do I want to hire first? I'm all about who, not how. I don't want to learn all the things. That's how I got stuck in the weeds, trying to be, an expert at all the things, where I just want to be an expert on knowing how to create something my ideal client wants and knowing how to talk to them in a way that helps them understand what I'm doing and that they want to be involved too. Right. And so that's the simplicity of it. Other people can build the funnel.
Yeah, other people. Yeah. I've been stuck there too. I remember those feelings, and I hear this from my clients sometimes too. Is, well, what about the little guys? What about people who can't afford it? What about, it's like, you can still serve those. In fact, you and your content, your audience, and all the things, you are serving them for free every single day, because only a tiny percentage of people are ever going to buy from you anyways. But I think, what's so interesting, I remember the first time I was on a call with a coach, and she told me that her year-long package was a $10,000 offer. And I remember actually, like, words came out of my mouth before I thought about it. And I said to her, I was like, what? People actually pay that?
Right.
And I was like, wait, where did that come from? And at the time, I think the highest ticket I'd ever sold was, I think, $1,800. Right. So it wasn't a huge amount, but looking back now, right, knowing, and I think this is really important, and something that we're gonna go over, but When you're creating high ticket offers, anything, 10,000 plus, you're not creating the same offer for the same person as you're creating a $2, $3, $5,000 package for someone, right? These are different packages for different people. And we're going to break down all the hows of how you can actually not just create that offer, but how you can actually find the people who match that offer, and matching your skill sets to actually deliver on that offer as well, because they are not the same.
No. And just to reiterate what you just said, it's not that we're going to ignore the rest of this business forever. And I know a lot of my clients, especially those who have had some success in the lower ticket space, they're like, but what am I going to do? Just leave everybody behind? And first off, you'd be surprised, because some people are already waiting for you to do the higher ticket thing, and they're just waiting for you to own that space, and they're coming along for the ride. But then too, like I was saying before, like the first thing I did once I, had the actual like breathing room was hire somebody to help me with building out some of these other pieces so that I can cater to the lower ticket space as well. Right. But if we start there, by the time you get any momentum, you're so tired and that's why people burn out, which is why so many people sit in overwhelm, because it's like, how do I get out of this chicken or the egg scenario? Because I can't make enough to get to the point where I can breathe enough to, actually serve clients at a higher level. And it's because it's all built backwards.
I think low ticket is also grossly misunderstood. I think a lot of people create low ticket from a space of, I don't know if someone's going to be able to afford this service, therefore I'm going to go low. Or
Yep.
I will make it super accessible.
Which is a decision made in fear. And we're not going to talk about fear today.
Totally.
Maybe we can talk about that next time. But we know what that does.
But what happens is when you create from that place, you speak the language of that place, and you fall into this place where you are serving people who, for some people wanting to serve those people, great, fantastic, right? I mean, there's a need for that. I've certainly served, those places, and, had a great time doing it. But there's also the place where if you are going into higher ticket things and you do want to serve at higher levels, then when you create from a place of filtration versus a place of people can't afford this, it's a very different energy. And now what you're doing is you're actually charging low ticket to protect the space and to bring in people who are actually serious about getting the results, and they get better results even from the low ticket things that you're selling, because they're not expecting you to give them everything for $100. Right now they're coming into the space knowing, if I take one thing worth $47, like I've got I can return the investment 10, 15, 20, 1,000 times on this. So it's a very different space that you're creating, which why we've created the masterclass we've created is from a space of filtration, right? So we do have the free version, but we also have the VIP version. And the reason the price is on that is because we're protecting the space. This is for people who are super serious.
Yes. And, we want to spend that extra time with them, right? It's just like in high ticket. It's like, if you're serious, if you're really interested in making the transformation at the highest level, like we want to honor that and mirror that back to you. And that's exactly why we have this challenge coming up, you guys. And we're going to give you all the information. It'll all be coming out over the next few weeks. But bottom line, be on the lookout for VIP. We're going to run some specials. If you're already on my email list, you'll definitely get those specials. If you're not, drop a comment below. Just comment email, and I'll make sure that you are, so that you are one of the first to know. But the VIP is going to be all about giving them that feedback, giving them that more of that attention where, we can take a look at your offer. We can give you some feedback. We can help you really understand maybe where this, because something else I think we've talked about is sometimes we try to just take a low ticket thing and put a high ticket price on it. And that's not it either, right? We're talking high ticket, high transformation. And within that, it's all about really understanding what needs to go in there to get that high ticket client the results, their specific results, as quickly as possible. And that people will pay for. They will pay for specific, they will pay for speed. And so when you understand that, your whole thought process around how you create it looks a lot different. But we're not just going to stop there, you guys. You know, in the past, we've done master classes where we just talked about how to build it out. But now we're going to talk about the entire sales process and how to back it up. So not just the high ticket thing, but then what comes next? And then like, how do we get this high ticket offer all the way through to a high ticket client? Because ultimately, like at the end of the day, that's what we want. And here's the beauty of it. And then I'll shut up. I get going. Sophie knows this. My clients know it too, is, you know, think about it. If you had a 10K offer and you wanted a 6-figure business, that's 10 clients a year.
It's less than one a month.
It's not this, I have, you know, so many people, I need so much. And, you know, I just think the way humans work is when we can just boil it down and like simplify and not feel like you're jumping through a gazillion hoops, like that's where the magic is. But when we're just running around in that chicken with the head cut off kind of energy, there's really no room. There's no room for the co-creation energy. There's no room for the creativity because we're like, I got to do all the things to make it go. And, you know, that's another big part of this, you guys. It's like, how are you showing up? Because we know, you know, we love to mix the woo and the do around here. And it's all about be who you are being and then do and then have. So that's also going to be a part of this because my secret special sauce is how these things come together, because we all know we can't just sit around and manifest it, but we also know we can't just manic like around trying to take action in a bunch of fear and hope that that works either. And so it's where these things meet, and that's where your power is. And I can't wait. Now I'm stealing our thunder, but we wanted to talk to you guys about it, and the details are coming. Within the next week, we'll have it on all the platforms. And Sophie, was there anything else you wanted to say as we wrap up?
Without giving everything away and going into no, because I just like this is very different from what we've done before, especially together. So yeah, just leave it at that. I mean, there is a wait list. If you want to jump on the wait list, by all means, we'll get you on it. There are people on it already because that's how excited we got.
Yes.
But yeah, no, we're definitely this is going to disrupt a lot of the challenge space, that's for sure, because this isn't just about information. This is actually doing it with you. So,
absolutely. Definitely join us in VIP if you're serious about making 2025 the year where you really break through to that next level in your business. And I believe, and it's happened for me and it's happened for my clients, and I know for you as well, Sophie, like really owning your high ticket offer and stepping into and saying yes to your genius zone fully is really where that next level is available to you. And the best part is it's less work. It's less because it's just a few things and not all the things. And I think it's two things. This can maybe be a conversation for another day, but I think it's really fully owning who you are and how you show up. And then I also think it's giving you the focus that you need. And when you bring those two things together, things just explode.
It's like what I was explaining to you, I think yesterday, right? It's like you've got the skills, we're going to add the system, and then you take your conviction and you make it all work.
Yes. So we'll leave it at that. If you want to be on the list, like just let me know in the comments. If you want to be on my email and you want to get it that way, drop email. If you want to be just on the VIP list right now, just drop VIP and we'll make sure that we have you added accordingly so that you're all in the mix and you know exactly what's going on. And stay tuned because big things are happening and we're excited to share it. All right. Well, we'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thanks for watching, ladies.